few years ago, who would have imagined that so many of us would have drones? Yes, the government says that drone exclusion zones around airports in the country, currently 1 kilometre, are going to be extended to 5 kilometres. The Transport Secretary, Chris Grayling, has announced new powers to help police enforce the changes as well.
The majority of drone users fly safely and responsibly, but we must ensure that the police have the right powers to deal with illegal use. We will therefore shortly be introducing new police powers, including allowing the police to request evidence from drone users where there is reasonable suspicion of an offence being committed, as well as enabling the police to issue fixed penalty notices for minor drone offences.
So this comes after drone sightings caused chaos last month, as I'm sure you remember, at Britain's second busiest airport, Gatwick, disrupting the travel plans of, well, literally tens of thousands of people on the run-up to Christmas. Mr Grayling says the disruption caused was deliberate, irresponsible and calculated. But the Shadow Transport Minister, Andy McDonald, is accusing him of just not acting quickly enough.
Exclusion zone does help with having unmanned aircrafts or drones being flown into the area by hobbyists or unwitting persons. But the problem is if you have a bad actor whose intent is to disrupt operations, then regulations does not necessarily help, does it?
I don't think that was the right guy. Regardless, we'll move on. The number of aircraft incidents involving drones has increased dramatically. So in 2013, there were none. And last year, there were more than 100. So the new powers will mean that in certain cases, police will also be able to search properties and seize drones. There'll be fines of up to £100 for minor offences. In addition, registered drone users will also need to take an online competency test. So will this change things? And what are the laws currently? Is it very confusing? Is it very, very simple? Well, we're going to talk now to Steve Kuncewicz from BML Law, who's a legal expert in all things technological. Hello there, Steve.
Good evening, how are you?
Yes, I'm not too bad. So, I mean, explain these new exclusion zones for me. So they're going to be widened. Is that a good thing, or is that a more confusing thing?
Well, I think it's a necessary thing because if you look at the chaos this has caused over the course of the past couple of months, the fact is that the law doesn't really keep up with technology particularly quickly in any kind of technology as far as that's concerned. And it's a fact that years ago people were simply not using drones, and as they become an awful lot more common, the public has to get used to them being regulated a little bit more than they have done. We all saw what happened at Heathrow failure recently, so it's right to assume that the government's going to try and do something about it when they can cause this kind of chaos.
So what are the laws right now? You know, are they easy to understand or not?
So the laws all at the moment are actually, funnily enough, based on the weight of the of what they call the unmanned aerial vehicle, which would be the drone. So if you've got a drone that's between 250 grams and 20 kilograms, then you're going to need to register that. You need to take a competency test, and there's going to be an awful lot of education work done. The government's already tried to do that and actually said what the laws were in some detail around July this year. But of course, this has happened in the meantime. There's been a lot of criticism of the government for not doing something earlier about this. So this is them running to catch up, and certainly the new police powers are going to help. But the government was looking at regulating drone use anyway, to be honest.
Is it going to be a very difficult thing to police, though? Because from what I can work out, drones are many and varied, and some of them are huge, and some of them are heavy, like you say, and some of them are small, and some of them are expensive. It just seems too vast to almost get your head round.
No, it does, but then you can say that about a lot of different things, and unfortunately it's something that they're going to have to get their head around now, because when the chaos at Heathrow was first reported, people might have thought that it was a terrorist incident, might have thought it was any number of different things. And like I said, this is now, what we have is a load of previous offences that you could have sort of beaten into shape to deal with drone use. Now we've got some specific new laws around how drones can be used, and as much as, we're going to see more prosecutions, we are going to see the government working quite hard to educate drone users about what they can and can't do. So as ever, just catching up with new technology.
What advice would you have to anybody who's maybe listening right now thinking, I don't even know why people particularly want drones, to be honest with you, but imagine there is somebody listening right now who's thinking, I'm going to get a drone. What do I need to know?
Certainly don't fly them within 5 kilometres of an airport.
Absolutely.
The previous limit was 1 kilometre. But just think very carefully about what you're using it for, because we're not just talking about airport incidents here. If you've got a drone with CCTV capability on it, that raises privacy concerns, that raises data protection concerns. We don't want to talk about GDPR in this piece, but that's worth thinking about as well. The government, I think, will be doing an awful lot to publicise the changes. But as drones get more popular, unfortunately, having the power to fly one means that you have to take responsibility for them.
What about people selling them?
Not people selling them. Again, I think it's the laws at the moment are based on the users and what they do. So the sellers will try very, very hard to avoid taking on more responsibility, as they quite rightly would do in situations like this. So you may see them working to ensure that the consumers know that what they're buying is safe and is legal to use, and I think they'll make that very clear. Certainly the marketing, the messaging will change, but the real focus is going to be on the users of the drones rather than the people that sell them, I think.
Okay, well, it's all changed very, very quickly. Like we were saying, in 2013 there were no drone incidents as far as we're aware. We've been talking a little bit this afternoon about predictions that you might have for 2019. Do you have any technological predictions, or otherwise perhaps, Steve?
I wish I could come up with something that quickly. Apart from that, you might see the first couple of prosecutions under this law. That's probably about it.
Okay, and fines, quite sizable fines?
Yeah, certainly. That's one of the big changes that we've seen come through today. Is that the police powers and the penalties that you could suffer for this kind of drone use are certainly going to be raised and going to be enforced an awful lot more than they have done previously. So yeah, well, once we start to see the first few prosecutions, I think we'll get an idea of the way things are going to go.
You haven't got a drone, have you, Steve? No,
not if I can help it. No.
Okay, good. Well, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. I've been talking to Steve Kuncewicz there from BLM Law. Thank you.
Gail Lofthouse.
BBC Radio Leeds.